Continuing where I left off, one had sight of Tityos, two, child of all mothering earth. His body stretched out over 9 whole acres, while an enormous vulture with hooked beak forages forever in his liver, his vitals rife with agonies. The bird, lodged in the chest cavity, tears at his feast, and tissues growing again get no relief. As for the lapithis, need I tell? Izion, Perithos, and the black crag overhead, so sure to fall it seems already falling. Golden legs gleam on the feasters' couches. Dishes in royal luxury prepared are laid before them. But the oldest fury crouches near and springs out with her torch. Her outcry if they try to touch the meal. Here comes those who, as long as life remained, held brothers hateful, beat their parents, cheated poor men dependent on them. Also those who hugged their newfound riches to themselves and put nothing aside for relatives. A great crowd. This, then, men killed for adultery, men who took arms in war against the right, not scrupling to betray their lords. All these are hemmed in here, awaiting punishment. Beast not inquired what punishment, what form of suffering at their last end overwhelms them. Some heave at a great boulder, or revolve, spread-eagled, hung on wheel spokes. Theosis cleaves to his chair and cleaves to it forever. Phlegus in his misery teaches all souls his lesson, thundering out amid the gloom. Be warned and study justice, not to scorn the immortal gods. Here's one who sold his country, foisted a tyrant on her, set up laws, or nullified them for a price. Another entered his daughter's room to take a bride, forbidden him. All these dared monstrous wrong, and took what they dared try for. If I had 100 tongues, 100 mouths, a voice of iron, I could not tell of all the shapes their crimes had taken, or their punishments. All this he heard from her, who for long years had served Apollo. Then she said, "Come now, be on your way, and carry out your mission. Let us go faster. I can see the walls, the Cyclops forges built and facing us, the portico and gate where they commanded us to leave the gifts required. On this the two in haste strode on abreast down the park's paths, over the space between, and neared the doors. Aeneid gained the entrance, halted there, asperged his body with fresh water drops, and on the sill before him fixed the bow. Now that at last this ritual was performed, his duty to the goddess done, they came to places of delight, to green park land, where souls take ease amid the blessed groves, wider expanses of high air endowed, each vista with a wealth of light. Souls here possess their own familiar sun and stars. Some train on grassy rings, others compete in field games, others grapple on the sand. Feet moving to a rhythmic beat, the dancers grouped in a choral pattern as they sing. Orpheus, the priest of Thrace, in his long robe, accompanies, plucking his 7 notes, now with his fingers, now with his ivory quill. Here is the ancient dynasty of Teucer, heroes high of heart, beautiful scions, born in greater days. Ilus, Asacharis, and Dardanus, who founded Troy, Aeneas marvels to see their chariots and gear far off, all phantom, lances fixed in earth, and teams unyoked at graze of the wide plain. All joy they took, alive in cars and weapons, as in the care and pasturing of horses. Remained it with them when they were laid in earth. He saw how vividly, along the grass to right and left, others who feasted there, and chorused out a hymn praising Apollo. Within a fragrant laurel grove, where Poe sprang up and took his course to the world above, the broad stream flowing on amid the forest. This was the company of those who suffered wounds in battle for their country, those who in their lives were holy men and chaste or worthy of Phoebus in prophetic song, or those who bettered life by finding out new truths and skills, or those who to some folk by benefactions made themselves remembered. They all wore snowy chaplets on their brows. To these souls, mingling on all sides, the Sibyl spoke now, and especially to Musaeus, the central figure, toward whose towering shoulders all the crowd gazed it. Tell us, happy souls, and you, great seer, what region holds Anchises? Where is his resting place? For him we came, by ferry cross the rivers of Erebus. And the great soul answered briefly, none of us has one fixed home. We walk in shady groves, and bed on river banks, and occupy green meadows, fresh with streams. But if your hearts are set on it, first cross this ridge, and soon I shall point out an easy path. So saying, he walked ahead and showed them from the height the sweep of shining plain. Then down they went and lifted the hilltops. Now Aeneas' father, Anchises, deep in the lush green of a valley, had given all his mind to a survey of souls, till then confined there, who were bound for daylight in the upper world. By chance his own were those he scanned now, all his own descendants, with their futures and their fates, their characters and acts. But when he saw Aeneas advancing towards him on the grass, he stretched out both his hands in eagerness, as tears wetted his cheeks. He said in welcome, have you at last come? Has that loyalty your father counted on conquered the journey? Am I to see your face, my son, and hear our voices in communion as before? I thought so, surely. Counting the months, I thought the time would come. My longing has not tricked me. I greet you now. How many lands behind you? How many seas? What blows and dangers, son? How much I fear the land of Libya might do you harm. Aeneas said, your ghost, your sad ghost, father, often before my mind, impelled me to the threshold of this place. My ships ride anchored in the Tuscan sea. But let me have your hand. Let me embrace you. Do not draw back. At this, his tears brimmed over and down his cheeks, and there he tried 3 times to throw his arms around his father's neck. 3 times the shade untouched slipped through his hands, weightless as wind and fugitive as a dream. Aeneas now saw at the valley's end a grove standing apart, with stems and boughs of woodland rustling, and the stream of Lethe running past those peaceful glades. Around it, souls of 1,000 nations fill the air, as bees in meadows at the height of summer hover and home on flowers, and thickly swarm on snow-white lilies, and the countryside is loud with humming. At the sudden vision, shivering, at a loss, Aeneas asked, What river flowed there, and what men were those, in such a strong along the riverside? His father Anchises told him, a second body is in store. Their drink is water of left, and it frees from care and long forgetfulness. For all this time I have so much desire to show you these, and tell you of them face to face, to take the roster of my children's children here, so you may feel with me more happiness at finding Italy. Must we imagine, Father, there are souls that go from here aloft to upper heaven, and once more return to bodies dead weight? The poor souls, how can they crave our daylight so? My son, I'll tell you, not to leave you mystified, Anchises said, and took each point in order. First, then, the sky and lands and sheets of water, the bright moon's globe, the Titan sun and stars, are fed within by spirit and a mind infused through all the members of the world, makes one great living body of the mass. From spirit come the races of man and a beast, the life of birds, odd creatures the deep sea contains beneath her sparkling surfaces, and fiery energy from a heavenly source belongs to the generative seeds of these, so far as they are not poisoned or clogged by mortal bodies. Their free essence dimmed it by earthiness and deathliness of flesh. This makes them fear and crave, rejoice and grieve. Imprisoned in the darkness of the body, they cannot clearly see heaven's air. In fact, even with life departs on the last day, not all the scourges of the body pass from the poor souls, not all distress of life. Inevitably, many malformations, growing together in mysterious ways, become invertebrate. Therefore, they undergo the discipline of punishments and pay in penance for old sins. Some hang full length to the empty winds. For some, the stain of wrong is washed by floods or burned away by fire. We suffer each his own shade. We are sent through wide Elysium, where a few abide in happy lands, till the long day, the round of time fulfilled, has sworn our stains away, leaving the soul's heaven-sent perception clear, the fire from heaven pure. These other souls, where they have turned time's wheel 1,000 years, the gods called in a crowd to Lethe stream, that there unmarried they may see again the heavens and wish re-entry into bodies. Anchises paused. He drew both son and Sibyl into middle of the murmuring throng, then picked out a green mound from which to view the souls as they came forward, one by one, and to take notes of faces. Come, he said, what glories follow Dardan generations, in after years, and from Italian blood? What famous children in your line will come, souls of the future, living in our name? I shall tell clearly now, and in the telling teach you your destiny. That one you see, the young man leaning on a spear unarmed, has his allotted place nearest the light. He will be first to take the upper air. Silvius, a child with half Italian blood and an Alban name. your last-born, whom your wife, Lavinia, late in your great age, will rear in forest to be king and father of kings. Through him our race will rule in Alba Longa. Next him is Procas, pride of the Trojan line, and Capys, too, then Numitor, then one whose name restores you, Silvius Aeneas, both in arms and piety your peer. If ever he shall come to reign in Alba, what men they are, and see their rugged forms, with oak leaf crowns shadowing their brows. I tell you, these are to found Nomentum, Gabi, Fadene town, Calatia's hilltop towers, Pomente, Fort Inus, Bola, Cora. Names to be heard for places nameless now. Then Romulus, fathered by Mars, will come to make himself his grandfather's companion. Romulus, reared by his mother Aelia, in the bloodline of Asacharis. Do you see the double plume of Mars fixed it on his crest, to see how the father of the gods himself now marks him out with his own sign of honor? Look now, my son, under his auspices. Illustrious Rome will bound her power with earth, her spirit with Olympus. She'll enclose her 7 hills with one great city wall, fortunate in the men she breeds. Just so Cybele mothered, honored on Byraxethus, wearing her crown of towers, onward rides by chariot through the towns of Phrygia, in joy at having given birth to gods, and cherishing 100 grandsons, heaven dwellers with homes on high. And I'm going to leave it off there. I want to thank you for watching and listening and viewing or supporting the videos, all the videos I've done. Please give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Comment below, subscribe, or do nothing and continue watching. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.